All right, so we kind of understand a little bit more about our Hello World app. And at this point, what we want to do is just basically kind of wrap things up because this is a simple tutorial and I just want to give you basic explanations of how to get started and how to play around with React. We're going to do a movie search full application next, and I just need to bring back up my GitHub, and that will be probably its own playlist. And I'll basically walk you through a lot of the React tutorial that I've written here on GitHub with movie search, but it's going to go a little bit faster. And so if you're kind of struggling still, I do recommend you just kind of go through this again one more time and take notes or use flashcards as I mentioned. But if you already got the gist, then you'll be pretty good with following along here. It's not that complicated. It's not that much of a huge jump. We're still using the npx create react app command, and I'll also go through some of the stuff that I talked about, like the CSS files and how to use them. Maybe we'll talk about service worker. It's not really important for your understanding right now because all it does is just helps you make your app available offline, and it's more of a complicated topic that's outside the scope of this particular playlist, as well as the next lecture, but I may do a talk about it at some point. So we left off with functions that return components, right? It looks like HTML. This is actually JavaScript React functions, and so if I don't write HTML, if I write here React create element, right, it's still using this little keyword here, React, import React from React. That's why in Visual Studio Code it looks like I've got it highlighted here. You'll notice that I don't have a logo and I'm not actually using the logo, so let's fix that. So the first thing I need to do is just change this up a little bit. So I have a header, I have the app. Next, I want to use an image, so I'm going to go in here and just type image source. And the way React works is that for the most part, if you're going to put an image, especially if it's coming from your project folder, you need to import it in using the import statement here. And React is already configured, this create React app is already configured to pull in CSS files. It's configured to pull in image files. If you didn't have the create React app, you'd have to do it manually using Webpack and loaders. But like I said, this is just there to make your life easier. So in order to import that particular image, we would just use React syntax like this, and it would say, okay, you want me to point your source at the logo, and these two brackets here allow me to pull in JavaScript essentially from basically passing in JavaScript variables. Here I've got a little bit of an error with VS Code because it's saying image elements must have a prop called alt, and so we'll just go ahead and fix that here, and I'll just say this is my image. You can make this whatever you want, so we'll save that, and then let's go back to our app and take a look at it, and there is our beautiful React image, right? If I wanted to put in some more stuff, I can basically go and, if I wanted to, let's say, have a CDN image, right? So Unsplash, or let's see, CDN images. I'll just do a quick search, see if I can find something. Pixabay, maybe that will work. So I'll look for, basically, let's see here, Pokemon. And there's Pikachu, okay. All right, so how do I get this onto my website? I can do just probably something like this, copy image address. And then I would just go back over here, and instead of putting in source like this, I can use the strings again and put in my image here. I can go back to my web page, and there's Pikachu. So cool. Now you know how to put in images. Let's say you want some styling too, right? So by default, we have a style file called app.css, and here you can go in and mess around with it. So let's say I want to make the header, color red. So I'll do that. And then there's the red that comes in, and that's because app is configured here and the CSS is configured here. Let's just, for a little bit more clear explanation on that part, let's say I want to also put in something for header. So I can say I want a class name, and I want to say, you know, unique header, right? So in HTML, you would use the keyword class, but because you're writing JavaScript, class is already used in JavaScript. It's already used as a special keyword. So if we wanted to add a CSS class with JSX, we basically need to use the special React keyword called class name, and that will help us avoid errors. And then I can go back to my app.css and I can give this class a unique header, and that will still give me the red here. And let's just say, you know, I want to do one more thing. Like I could say, let's make this font weight bold, right? So now it's bold, and I could put in another header right here and say this is another header, right? And that would only have its regular CSS. It wouldn't have the red coloring CSS. So that's how you still use CSS, and that's how you still put in images. And you can do a lot of your normal HTML that you use in, you know, basic web development here in React, just like you would normally use in basic web development. But the thing is, you got to watch out for little things like this, like the gotchas, the class names attribute, as opposed to the HTML class, because in JavaScript, class is a reserved word, so you don't want to use that. So you'll have to reference React's documents over here and just kind of go through it. And if you run into any errors, they're pretty good about telling you. In fact, that's kind of what's been going on with Visual Studio Code. I still have, you can see some little bit of error here, and it says redundant attribute. These are up to you. If you want to fix these, you can. You don't have to. But it is good measure when you're going to push to production. You should clean up all of your errors. Because we're in development, it doesn't really matter. So hope this tutorial was good for you. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. Like these videos if you found them useful, and subscribe to us if you're new. And let us know also, you know, if you have feedback, because we are going to be putting out more videos and more playlists, and just want to make these better and better for you. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next playlist.